For most of us, credit can seem like a dead end. But the Fransos team, with USA Mortgage, can show your family the way home. The Fransos team has been helping families find the financing they need to get into homes they never dreamed they could have. Their free credit help system has helped families improve their credit scores in as little as 28 days. That's the Fransos team. Visit them online at jfransos.usa-mortgage.com or give them a call today. 314-312-0101. The Fransos team, helping families home. What now? Your healthcare needs may be a detour, but when you choose Thrive, it won't be a dead end. Our team of medical staff are on hand to walk with you, step by step. Thrive St. Louis, Express Women's Healthcare, low-cost and no-cost medical services, offering pregnancy testing, pregnancy options, ultrasound services, and life skills classes. Walk-ins welcome. Thrive St. Louis, Express Women's Healthcare. Visit thrivestlouis.org or call our 24-hour helpline now, 314-773-4626. When a friend or a loved one goes to jail, you may not know where to turn next. Chuck Tully Bail Bonds will bring 30 years of bail bonds experience to help you attain your bond quickly. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't sleep till they're back on their feet. For your convenience, our family-based team can answer all of your questions. So when you need expert bail bonding, trust Chuck Tully Bail Bonds, proudly serving Missouri for 30 years. Visit chucktellybailbonds.com or call 636-789-3522.
Welcome back to the City of St. Louis Mayoral Candidate Interview Series. And in our studios, we have Tishaura O. Jones, City of Treasurer, and looking to be the next mayor of the City of St. Louis. Hey, Tishaura, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. And I just want to dive into the politics of the mayoral race, and I want to talk to you a little bit about economic development.
Sure.
So, during this last, I'd say 6 weeks, and 16 months while I was running for Congress, I took a lot of time talking to the voters. And I have an idea in both parties of things that they're looking for. And one of the things that comes to me often is the LRA program. And the fact that you have to have an alderman sign off on a purchase of a basic lot sitting there. And that creates a situation where some residents are saying that they're not being treated fairly because if they got a problem with their alderman or alderwoman for whatever reason, they don't believe that they have access to that. So I wanted you to speak a little bit to that.
I think we have paid enough attention to large developers, and now we need to put our attention towards small developers. And unfortunately, this is one of the hurdles small developers often encounter with trying to just rehab one piece of property. We've given away over $700 million in tips and tax abatements, and over the last 15 years, and over 85% of that has gone to the Central Corridor and downtown. It's time to put a racial equity lens on that program to make sure that more areas that haven't seen investment in several years or several decades start receiving investment.
So do you agree or disagree with the fact that the current system's too convoluted for a basic citizen to get involved?
It is. I think we need to look outside of our borders and look at other cities and how they are working with small developers to get some of those properties off their tax rolls. Like Detroit and Washington, D.C., for example, have some very robust programs to try to make sure that small developers can buy up property and redevelop it.
Well, and even our sister city, Kansas City, has gotten involved in a lot of that as recently.
Yes.
And I was pretty proud of that. Another thing I want to talk to you about is businesses leaving. About a week or two ago, Brown and Crouppen discussed that they may actually be leaving the city of St. Louis. And as you know, because of your fields that you work in, that most of the law firms these days are now based in Clayton. You go back to 10 years ago, those law firms were here downtown. So what are we going to do to keep professionals down in the city, which is, like I've said to all candidates, they go down, they eat lunch, they meet their wives or husbands for drinks. They're part of our community. So what we're going to do to get them back downtown?
We need a plan to make sure that we revitalize downtown. If you drive 4 hours in any direction, 4 to 5 hours in any direction of St. Louis, you find cities that are lapping us in terms of innovation and also in terms of their downtowns have also been revitalized. And I had an opportunity to go speak with Brown and Crouppen, with the lawyers there.
Terry Croupen's a great guy.
I didn't speak with Terry. I spoke with Andy.
Okay.
And a couple of the other attorneys and their COO, and we took a good hour just discussing, what their concerns were, and their largest concern is crime.
Okay, so let me ask you another question, because it's possible that you could be the next mayor, and I support a lot of the things that you believe in, but the question I have is whether it's the role of government versus the role as a private citizen.
Right.
Where we're really lacking is, financial literacy is a big problem. But as mayor, are you willing to do some of those things more? Are you planning on doing those things as the mayor, or are you willing to focus on mayor and do some of those things on the side? Because that's a question I get asked often.
Sure. I'm willing to actually increase our financial literacy initiatives as mayor, because one of the things I've noticed as treasurer that we don't have access to a lot of the grant programs that are out there and the technical assistance, because it requires the mayor's office leading the way. And so if elected, I will definitely be contacting those organizations to see what we can do to boost our financial literacy initiatives that we offer in the city.
Okay, and one other final question. You spent some time in the state legislative branch. You also did that while the Republicans were in charge of the House, isn't that correct?
Yes.
So I think you understand better than anybody that when the governor says that there's no money coming to St. Louis, that we could probably bet that he's not going to want to break his word on that. That is going to be a different dynamic than when Mayor Slay or any of the mayors. It's always been a given that St. Louis had access to these tax credit programs. So, in 50 seconds or so, if you can just sum up to me how you're going to provide this bold agenda, which I'm hearing many people are interested in, but the countermand that I hear to that is the city's broke.
Right. The city is broke, but we haven't leveraged the opportunity of public-private partnerships. We don't do anything in the treasurer's office without a private partner. And I think that we need to start doing more on the city level in other programs with public-private partnerships.
Well, I think that's interesting. I will say that I'm not a fan of toll roads, but anything else, and I don't think that's what you're referring to, but
no.
There's many you just have to do it. Because in these days, you don't have the funding, and it's like this has happened to municipalities and governments all over.
Yes, it is.
So it's just a new day, and it'll be very interesting to see where we go there. And that is Tishaura Jones, City of St. Louis Treasurer and mayoral candidate. Up next, Tishaura and I discuss education in the City of St. Louis. Be back in a minute.
What now? Your healthcare needs may be a detour, but when you choose Thrive, it won't be a dead end. Our team of medical staff are on hand to walk with you, step by step. Thrive St. Louis, Express Women's Healthcare, low-cost and no-cost medical services, offering pregnancy testing, pregnancy options, ultrasound services, and life skills classes. Walk-ins welcome. Thrive St. Louis, Express Women's Healthcare. Visit thrivestlouis.org or call our 24-hour helpline now, 314-773-4626.
Welcome back to the City of St. Louis mayoral candidate interview series, and I have Tishaura Jones coming back. So let's talk about education.
Yes.
So the City of St. Louis schools just got accredited, and one of the things that I know that's going to come from that is there's going to be a less transfer opportunities available from the City of St. Louis schools. So obviously the city has always had some transfer from your local school, but there's not going to be the opportunities to go, let's say, to St. Louis County schools like there has been in the past. Now, I understand that you're not running for school board, and if you did, City of St. Louis isn't in charge of their own schools anyways.
Right.
What can you do as the mayor with your bully pulpit to do something about education?
You're right. The mayor doesn't have any direct authority over the school district or our charter schools or parochial schools, but that doesn't mean that the city can't be a better partner in working with our superintendents, our school leaders, teachers, parents to find out how we can remove the barriers to education for our children and help St. Louis public schools continue on the good trajectory that they're currently on with regaining their accreditation. Now, back to your point about the transfer. The transfer program started because of a federal lawsuit way back in the day about the DSEG program. I am a product of the DSEG program. My son is also a product of the DSEG program. But I think it's incumbent upon all of us to wrap our arms around our school district and see what we can do to help them be the best that they can be.
So are you the belief that idle time is a devil's workshop?
That idle time is a devil's workshop. Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, what that means is that when we don't have opportunities and things for our youth to do, that they're going to find mischief. So talk a little bit of, because the problem that I see with the schools is that they get blamed for everything. And they can't fix the social programs. They can't fix the broken homes. They can't fix the parents that are unemployed. They can't fix the drug issues. And I don't think that we're ever going to change anything in the city of St. Louis school district until we address those areas around it. And again, that's beyond the schools and sort of falls more at the steps of the mayor or the alderman or the executives of the county or city.
And that's at the base of my criminal justice reform platform, which is attacking the root cause of crime, which is poverty, substance abuse, mental health issues, and making sure that we can find the resources for those families. Because if you look at crime, a small percentage of people commit the most crime. So it's the old Pareto principle. 20% of the people are 80% of your problem. And as we've seen in the Kansas City Nonviolence Alliance, they have taken resources from the federal, state, and local levels, houses of faith, nonprofits, workforce development, social workers, and really wrapped their arms around crime and have seen a marked decrease by attacking the root cause rather than just the symptoms.
Okay, so talk a little bit about MetroLink. And I don't want to get into, because what people don't understand is if it was approved today, it would take 5 years at least to get there.
It's a long project.
Exactly. So I want to talk about the interim period. I don't want to debate the actual whether it's a good idea or not a good idea. What I want to talk about is what do we do during these 5 years? Because I'm talking to people in the community and they say, I may have an opportunity for a job. I can't get there.
Right.
And, go ahead.
The first 2 years are updating the study. So that's what we're doing now because the study was stale. It was completed back in 2006. So we have to update the study first to get back in the pipeline for federal funding. And that's going to take another 18 to 24 months. And the entire line was $2.2 billion. And here again is another opportunity for a public-private partnership, as we saw in Denver when they extended their light rail line from downtown all the way to the airport.
Okay, so let me ask you one quick question on that, then I want to move on. So Metro is an entity in itself, and it's funded partly by taxes from the city of St. Louis. Is that correct?
Yes, we approved a sales tax, I believe.
So what effect do the other members of Metro have when it regards to doing expansion? Would this just be a city decision because it's a city line, or would the county voters have to get involved or pay for it?
I believe it's a combination of Metro. There's also East-West Gateway local governments, and then as far as north-south, I'm only concerned about the city portion. I would love to work with the county to extend it both into the county because we have to think regionally when we think about transit, not just in the city. And I think those conversations need to continue.
Well, and the reason why I bring that up is because the jobs are outside of the city of St. Louis to some. Okay, we need to expand and give people opportunities outside. There's factories, and it just drives me crazy that somebody hasn't thought of taking one Metro bus, if you got 50 workers there, and just getting them together. If I was a factory worker and I could pay $3 and not drive to work, I would.
Right.
And that would help finance some of the people that may not have that car ability and what we're called the people that have to have the transit.
Right.
Okay, so one other thing about economic development, where do you think the MLS, and where are you at with that?
So I have been on record of being against public funding for soccer stadiums. I was against the Ram Stadium, and I'm against the soccer stadium for the same reason, because the tax as it is on the ballot, the sales tax triggers the use tax, which would pay for the soccer stadium. And so I'm against that.
Well, and just so you know, I don't support any building or any financing that lasts longer than the building. as soon as I heard 30 years, that's all I need to hear because
Right,
we're
because
dealing with 30 years right now.
Oh, and we know that the life is only 20.
And a common gentleman that we know actually brought that up a long time ago.
Right.
And that is Tishaura Jones talking about economic development in the city of St. Louis. Next, Tishaura tackles homeless, Larry Rice, and what we're going to do to take care of our homeless population. We'll be back in a minute. Thanks.
For most of us, credit can seem like a dead end, but the Franco's team with USA Mortgage can show your family the way home. The Franco's team has been helping families find the financing they need to get into homes they never dreamed they could have. Their free credit help system has helped families improve their credit scores in as little as 28 days. That's the Franco's team. Visit them online at jfranco's.usa-mortgage.com or give them a call today. 314-312-0101. The Franco's team, helping families home.
Welcome back to the City of St. Louis Mayoral Candidate Interview Series. And we're back with Tishaura Jones to discuss homeless issues in the City of St. Louis. So it's no secret that Larry Rice actually filed to run for office as an independent, and his mandate is the fact that he doesn't believe that the current politicians that are in this election are going to do the right thing regarding the homeless population. I understand why he believes that. It's a little bit unfair because you guys haven't been mayor. But I understand what his position is there. So you want to give me some insight on that?
The city of St. Louis shoulders the burden for homeless services for the entire region. And when I say the entire region, I include the Metro East. And I think that needs to stop. I'm in favor of spreading out homeless services into the county because I'm sure that family in St. Charles or St. Anne or North County that falls into a precarious situation and has to uproot their family, and the only available shelter is downtown St. Louis, and they have to uproot their children out of school in order to find shelter for their families. And I am also in favor of being a little bit more creative with homeless services. Programs in Denver and Albuquerque, for example, have a day laborers program where they pay homeless men and women to help clean up parts of the city, give them an hourly wage, and at the end of the day, they pair them up with social workers to see how they can assist them getting out of being homeless. And the initial successes from that program are that we've seen that some of the homeless people have been hired on to work for the city. So that's an excellent way to decrease panhandling and also give a person a job.
Well, and I agree with that. And a lot of people don't understand why City of St. Louis is the mecca of homeless in this region. It's because it's a pedestrian community. So in other words, if you're somewhere in rural Missouri and you just have a gas station and you got a post office, there's not a lot of places. And that's why people try to get to this area because it is a pedestrian community. Things stay open later. This is where the services are. That's been an argument of should we have all those services based downtown and should we try to spread them out through the region? That's another argument.
Yeah.
Like when we talked about the reentry programs. And I wasn't a big believer that City of St. Louis should not be the depot for people that get parole but don't have family members that will accept them.
Right.
That should be spread across the region.
Absolutely. We need to make sure that we're putting resources in prevention, and then also with prevention for homeless. One of the biggest areas there is that there's lack of affordable housing in St. Louis, and people may think, oh, we have plenty of affordable housing, but affordable housing and whose definition of affordable housing?
I want to challenge you on something because if you're elected mayor or if you're not because you're a statewide official, what I'm looking for is somebody that's going to go out and start with two things when it comes to the homeless population: mental health and veterans. Because I've had a lot of success with the Republican Party, which I'm a member of dealing with those issues. And not to say that they don't care about the homeless, but it's like with those two issues, there's an easier way for them to be able to relate because everybody has somebody that they know that has mental issues. And also we know the challenges of the veterans.
Yes.
And I think that if you create that base, because we got to get some sort of dialogue going with Jeff City.
Yes.
And you and I have talked about this. I know you're friends like I am with Speaker Richardson, Todd Richardson. Great guy. But there's a lot of challenges in order to create state in City of St. Louis partnerships that I don't think the community really understands. I mean, if they listen to the things that were coming from the governor, listening to the things that have been said regarding, tax credits and things like that, it just doesn't create a situation where I'm comfortable thinking that the city's going to come in for any big percentage of anything.
Well, rather than focus on places where we disagree, let's find the areas that we do agree. And that's how I had great relationships with my Republican colleagues in the House and in the Senate. We found things that we could work together on and then worked on those things. Of course, there are, a whole host of things that I don't agree with my former colleagues on recent votes, but that still doesn't mean that A, they aren't my friends, and B, that we can't work together on other things.
Well, I think that's important. All mayoral candidates in this state, they're in the Democrat Party, have to have a working relationship with the Republicans, or it's not going to work.
Right, and I think I have one of the best, if not the best, relationship with my former colleagues in the House and Senate.
Okay, and then the last question real quick on the homeless issue. When it comes to feeding the homeless, there's a lot of ordinances that deny that. Can I get in 15 seconds whether you support that legislation that denies people the right to provide food to a homeless person?
I don't agree with criminalizing homeless people or criminalizing people for providing services to homeless people.
And there we go. So that is Tishaura Jones, City of St. Louis mayoral candidate and treasurer. Next up, we're going to tackle criminal justice and how we're going to make St. Louis safe.
What now? Your healthcare needs may be a detour, but when you choose Thrive, it won't be a dead end. Our team of medical staff are on hand to walk with you, step by step. Thrive St. Louis, Express Women's Healthcare, low-cost and no-cost medical services, offering pregnancy testing, pregnancy options, ultrasound services, and life skills classes. Walk-ins welcome. Thrive St. Louis, Express Women's Healthcare. Visit thrivestlouis.org or call our 24-hour helpline now, 314-773-4626.
And welcome back to the City of St. Louis mayoral candidate interview series. And we're back with Tishaura Jones to talk crime, justice in the City of St. Louis. So let's lay the plate out of where we are as the City of St. Louis. We are the #1 murder capital per capita, and we rate next to the country of Honduras. We have a place called the Workhouse that they were doing gladiator fights at, and I still don't know if anybody ever got punished for that. We have a court system that quit utilizing bail bondsmen, which is requiring the law enforcement of this city to lock up 100% of their fugitives that don't show up. These are the same cops we depend upon for domestic violence calls, for calls of violence, for people being broken into. Now they have to deal with 30,000 people going through the courts with nobody watching them. Right. And you want to add that to boot, you're dealing with, which we talk about, poverty is the root of all crime. You're dealing with unemployment rates of 16 between 24. I mean, I've heard anywhere from 35 to 50%. So I'm gonna give you the platform because this is the issue that people care about.
Well, we have been tough on crime for decades, and where has that gotten us? I'm talking about being smart on crime. Being smart on crime means we stop criminalizing people for being poor, for being black, for having substance abuse problems, or for having mental illness. Mental health problems. And I think we should close the workhouse and use the money saved to put towards resources to make sure that we give the proper treatment to those who are in the categories I just mentioned. We need to do away with cash bail because that's something that and find other ways to other methods or alternative methods for punishment, because as we've seen, people have taken their lives in our jails waiting for trial because they couldn't afford cash bail. I also think we need to put social workers in police departments because police encounter a whole host of things that oftentimes they aren't equipped to handle, and social workers help that. We've seen in Los Angeles and Miami, for example, where they have social workers in the department, and the customer satisfaction or citizen satisfaction has risen because people are treated humanely. And also we need to focus on prevention and deterrence methods. That means, again, 20% of the people are 80% of the problem when it comes to crime. focus in on those people, see what they need. Is it somebody needs a job? Is it somebody is sick? Is it someone has a mental health issue or substance abuse issue? And really focus in on the root cause.
Okay, so you definitely articulated your vision. I want to challenge it a little bit.
Sure.
So when we're talking about the bail issue, how do we make sure people show up if law enforcement is telling me they don't have the capacity to do the 911 calls? And I've heard these visions from others. Mm-hmm. And, you know, again, you're somebody that, like every other candidate that could possibly be mayor, tell me what you're going to do to make sure people show up, or what procedure or what policy or what vision is going to make a person show up unless they have that security. And, you know, if you have something that's better, you know, I definitely think we should look at it. But I've heard this from every mayoral candidate, and I haven't gotten yet. They say, well, we don't really support cash bail. Okay, well, that's fine. So are we going to just make a system to where we're going to let everybody out of jail based upon their word? Because it doesn't work. And that's the reason why they established this with the Magna Carta, in fact, 800 years ago.
Right, but if you put people in jail, then you're looking at a self-fulfilling prophecy. That person loses their job.
Right.
And then that person finds that the only way to feed his family or to continue to live is by committing another crime, and then they go back into jail.
Let me clarify something real quick.
Yeah.
So you're talking about for minor crimes. You're not talking about
no.
Then
Yes.
that's the clarification that I need.
Yes. We're talking if it's a violent crime, of course that person needs to be behind bars.
Right.
But I'm talking about the minor crimes.
You're talking about the traffic stuff and the laundering and the I can't afford $75 and somebody's keeping me in jail.
Right. Or the woman who took her life. It was $1,000 cash bond because she got into an altercation downtown.
Right.
And it wasn't really a violent altercation, but then, you know, she also had mental health issues that no one checked on.
Real quick, would you be willing to agree with me on the fact that if a person has a minor crime and they, you know, miss court 2, 3, 4 times, that we elevate those people? It's not going to be a free system. What you're saying is first time, second time, but you're not talking 5th, 6th, and 7th time.
Right. Let's look at some models across the country where they're seeing success, and see what we can do to bring it to our environment, tweak it for St. Louis, and let it roll.
Well, I will give you the common respect for showing up to my show and deciding that you're going to make your points. We don't agree a lot on politics, but I don't think that matters, because I think you and a lot of the mayoral candidates I've met care about the city, and we'll continue to be partners with you on that, okay?
That's great.
Absolutely. And that is Tishaura Jones, City of St. Louis Treasurer and mayoral candidate. And that's another episode of City of St. Louis mayoral candidate interview series with Paul Berry III. And next week, we have a few mayoral candidates that aren't reigning in the polls, but they got a few ideas. We'll bring them on and give you guys a chance to check them out. Thanks, guys.
What now? Your healthcare needs may be a detour, but when you choose Thrive, it won't be a dead end. Our team of medical staff are on hand to walk with you, step by step. Thrive St. Louis, Express Women's Healthcare, low-cost and no-cost medical services, offering pregnancy testing, pregnancy options, ultrasound services, and life skills classes. Walk-ins welcome. Thrive St. Louis, Express Women's Healthcare. Visit thrivestlouis.org or call our 24-hour helpline now, 314-773-4626.
I am Paul Berry III, host of Showbiz Politics TV. Please join Jamie Allman, Stacey Washington, and myself for the City of St. Louis mayoral candidate debate, only on ABC 30, March 4th.